Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how I can create a simple physics simulation in Blender. So let's get started. First let's hit Shift A and add a circle, press S and 10. Now go into edit mode and press A, F. Go back into object mode and press Ctrl 3. Now go to the modifiers and add a solidify modifier. And let's set this to 3 as well. I'm adding the solidify modifier because otherwise we might get some problems with the simulation. Now go to the physics properties and add a rigid body and set it to passive. Set the shape to mesh and the sensitivity to 0.001. Go into edit mode and press I to insert it, like this. And now go here and press Ctrl R and add about 5 loop cuts, for example. Now simply right click, enable proportional editing and go here and press Alt and click on it. Now press G and Z and make this circle bigger. Make sure that the middle doesn't move along, just like I'm doing right now, and move it up, like this. Go back into object mode and let's hit Shift A and add a cube. Go into edit mode again and press G, set 1, and let's also turn this off again. Go back to object mode and press S and type in 0.1. Now go into top view and press S, X and 10. By the way, let's select the circle real quick and shade smooth. Now select the cube again. Go to the physics properties and add a rigid body again. We don't need to change anything here. Go back into top view and press Shift D and G, Y and 0.8. Now select both of them and duplicate them. Go into front view and press G, Z. Make sure that they are not intersecting. As you can see, they are not intersecting here. So let's press R, Z, 90. Go back into the viewport shading and let's select one of them and go to the modifiers. Now we need an array modifier. Set the X to 0 and the Z to 2. I'm going to set the count to 15. Now select the rest of the cubes and then this one again and press Ctrl L and copy modifiers. With all of them selected, press Ctrl A, visual geometry to mesh and go into edit mode. Press A and P and select by loose parts. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to shift select one of them and press M and create a new collection. If we press play now, as you can see they are jittering for some reason. To fix this, make sure you're on frame 1 and right click and set origin to geometry. Now if we press play, it looks like this. With all of the cubes selected, go into top view and duplicate them a few times. Make sure it's inside of this inner circle here. I'm also going to rotate them like this. I think that's enough. Let's save now. Hit Shift A and add an icosphere. Set the subdivisions to 3 and shade smooth. And let's also subdivide it by pressing Ctrl 1. Set the render to 1 and go to the physics properties and enable rigid body and select sphere. Set the mass to 1000 kilos. You can change the units up here, by the way. Here. Now let's press G, Z and now G, Shift Z and press play. So this is what we got so far. I'm going to go back to frame 1 and duplicate the sphere 2 times. I'm going to move it here and here. Now let's see how it looks. I think this looks good. One thing that I noticed is that I don't like these two flying away here, so I'm going to reposition these spheres a little. I simply placed this one further over here, and now it works. If you want the simulation to be longer, you need to go to Rigid Body World, go to Cache and change the end frame here, and also change it here of course. Once you're happy with how it looks, save again and click on Bake. Now I'll set up the camera, so let's hit Shift A and add a camera. I wanted to follow this sphere basically, so let's position the view around here. So I positioned it here. Now hit Ctrl Alt 0 to go into camera view. Go to the object constraint properties and select track 2 and select the icosphere, the first one. Now as you can see, the camera is completely focused on the icosphere, which is not what I want. So let's go back to frame 1, and with the camera selected, let's change the Y here, move it up, and the X. I think this looks better. Now I'm going to animate this. I'm going to go to frame 30 and keyframe the shift. Now let's go here and let's move the X over, and let's move the Y up a little and keyframe it again. Now let's go further in the timeline, and now let's move the Y down again and the X over here, keyframe them again, and again go for the timeline. I think now I'm going to move it down here again and over here, keyframe it again, and I think now it looks good. If you want it to look like it's filmed with a handheld camera, you can just go up here. If you want it to look like it's filmed with a handheld camera, you can keyframe the location and rotation. And now let's move this up and set it to the graph editor. Click on the object transform and press N. Go to modifiers and let's select the X location and add a noise modifier. As you can see, now we've got something like this, which is too strong. Set the scale to 20 and let's try a strength of 1.5. I think I'm going to set it to 0.75. Now go here and copy the modifier, paste it in here and change the offset. Do the same for the Z location, again change the offset, and again do the same for the rotation. Change the offset, and for the Y as well, not the face, the offset. And let's do it for the Z too. I think this makes it look a little better. Now up here enable depth of field. And let's go to the camera again and enable depth of field, and here type in icosphere again. Again select the first one. Let's set the f-stop to 0.1 and the blades to 16. The strong depth of field gives the scene a sense of being very small, which is what I want. Let's save again and go to shading. Like I already said, you can find the link to the HDRI that I'm using in the description. Now let's select the plane. Now let's select the plane and go into rendered view. You can use Eevee for this, but I'm going to use cycles. If you're using Eevee, make sure to enable ambient occlusion, bloom, motion blur and screen space reflections. Now click on new and make it metallic. Select one of the spheres and click on new again, and again make it metallic and set the roughness to 0. Shift select the rest of the spheres and select this one again and press Ctrl L, link materials. Now all of these spheres are sharing the same material, which means if I change the color, for example, it will change on all of them. Now let's drag this down here and select one of the cubes. And let's go all the way to the bottom and shift select all of them. Click on New and delete the principled BSDF and add a glass shader. Control Shift click on it. Again press Control L, link materials. Let's save again and go to Film and make it transparent. You can find this in the render properties. And I'm also going to enable transparent glass. You can of course leave the max samplers at 128, but I'm going to set them to 640. The difference in quality won't be that big, but I prefer it. Also enable denoise and use optics if you can. If you can't, then you'll have to use OpenImage denoise. Now go to Compositing, enable use nodes, add a denoise node set to accurate and enable denoising data. You need to enable it to get these outputs here. In the output properties, let's set it from PNG to JPEG. You can of course use PNG, but I prefer JPEG. I prefer JPEG because the file sizes are smaller. One downside to it is that the background that we made transparent won't actually be transparent, it will just be black. Now create an output folder. I already did that, so I'm going to paste the location in here. And now let's name the images render to images. If you put an underscore after the name, Blender is going to automatically assign numbers to the frames. So now click on accept and let's save again and go to render animation. Once it's done rendering, close this window and go here to video editing. If you don't see this tab, then just go here and go to video editing. Now hover over the file location and press Ctrl C. Set the file format to FFmpeg video and the container to MPEG-4. Now set the output quality to high quality. Make sure you are on frame 1 and hit Shift A, image sequence. Paste in the location minus the name. Press A and enter. Now go to render and render animation. So that's it with the tutorial. I hope you liked it. Please let me know what I should do next and I'll see you next time.